Oh God, I hate fighting with my husband. Not just the bickering, although it sometimes starts off like that, but the real hard, tough, painful, values pinching type of fights. The thought of fighting makes me want to crawl into a hole and wait until everything settles down. I don't want to talk about the issues. I don't want to talk about my feelings. I don't want to experience the struggle where I want to explode and just say everything hurtful and meanful that's in my head. But then I don't, because you can never take words back. And if I did that, it would hurt his feelings so much. I don't want to practice empathy, trying to see it from his perspective and understanding his side. I don't want to cry and then have that puffy face in the morning where I feel like my heart took a beating and my soul has been sucked dry. And then you have to have that awkward moment in the morning where I avoid eye contact with him because I don't want to be the one that says the first thing. Does that sound familiar? When something comes up, whether something he said or did, or the way he reacted to something I said or something I did, and I'm pissed, my natural instinct is to ignore it. I don't like conflict. Who does? You know, sweeping problems under the rug is the easiest and most tempting thing to do, especially when we're busy and we just don't have time to deal with these things. No, just bottle that shit up until it turns to cancer, then deal with it then, right? However, after many years of working on my relationships and helping others work on theirs, I know that fighting in a relationship is actually a good thing. It's a healthy thing. It's not just the experts who say this, but I've experienced firsthand where the fighting completely stopped, and that was when my relationship was doomed. So instead of ignoring that angry feeling, as hard as it is to do, I muster as much energy and patience as I can to bring it up and talk about it. I'm not saying that my husband and I always have these really calm and mature adult discussions when we fight, and that's just just very calm. And then we have this crazy romantic makeup sex after. No, our fights are still very raw at times. And we do have moments where we say things we don't mean. It's not easy, and it's not easy to work on it. But the most important thing is that we work on it even when we don't want to. Here are my 5 tips to manage your anger when fighting with your partner. The first one is self-reflect on how you were raised, how your parents dealt with anger, so with each other, and then with you. And then also thinking about your past, how did your parents fight? As much as we don't want to admit it sometimes, a lot of the times, we are the products of our parents or those who raised us. The environment that they created for us shaped and influenced our childhood and adolescence that made us who we are today. We may not also realize that how they communicated with each other and how they interacted with each other affects how we are in relationships. It can feel indirect at times because when you're a child, you're in your own little world. We don't see our parents as regular humans, like regular people. They're our parents. We don't see them as humans with vulnerabilities, emotions, hopes, dreams, and insecurities. They're our parents. They're the rocks of the house. They're the ones who set the rules and enforce the rules. And when they fight, we just kind of want the yelling or the throwing of things to stop. And we just want things to go back to normal. But it's incredibly important to self-reflect on that past, possibly painful, because that will give insight into how we manage our anger and also improve the way we fight with our partners. So here are some questions for you to think about to kind of start digging into your childhood, your adolescence, thinking about your parents or those who raised you. So feel free to sit back, relax, and just take your time, press pause when you want to really think about these things. Growing up, what did your mom do with her anger? What did she do when you got angry? Think about a time when you got upset with her. How did it resolve? Now, what about your dad? What did he do when he got angry? And what did he do when you got angry? Think about a time when you got upset with him. How did that conflict resolve? And when your parents fought, what did they do? What did each parent do during that fight? What were the fights usually about? Was there a theme, a trend? And then how did it usually end? What did each person do after the fight or when it was about to fizzle down? So take your time to think about these things. It can be painful and it can be traumatic for some people. So please, I caution you when you do these diving exercises. So the second tip that I would give about managing your anger when you're fighting with your partner is to self-discover comparing and contrasting your past with your present. So now that you've taken some time to think about your past, it's time to kind of compare and see how that looks like in relation to who you are now. So how do you express anger in the moment when you have a fight with your partner? What is the first thing that you do? How do you kind of let those emotions dissipate? What do you do or say when you're angry at your partner? And what parallels can you draw from how your parents dealt with anger and how you deal with your anger? Are there similarities? Are there differences? Are you more like one parent than the other? Are you kind of a mishmash? Are you not like your parents at all? So it's about asking yourself those tough questions to really get you thinking about how your parents interacted and how that shaped you as an individual today and how you interact with others. Because ultimately, the more you know yourself and the way you manage your anger and the reason why you manage your anger in that way, dependent on your experiences as an adolescent or a child, the clearer you'll see your story of how you became who you are.